Well, welcome to the Kidney Trails Broadcasting Network studio, or studio in progress, whatever we decide. Trying to get this all taken care of and get in the studio up. But you know what? It's good to be here with you on this impromptu night. And there is a reason that we're doing this impromptu. There's a reason we decided to do a live stream just at this odd hour. But it really is. It's really excited to be here. This week is a very special week. And, I think it was a few months ago, back in May or around springtime, when we celebrated Biomedical Technical Week, where we celebrated the biomedical technicians out there. Well, this week is different. We are celebrating the dialysis technicians this week. And I think it is good to celebrate them. They are definitely need the recognize the work that they do each and every day. So tell you what, I want to, I can't just do this by myself. Okay. First of all, I've never been a dialysis technician, but I want to bring somebody on that he's our very own CEO here at the Kidney Trails, Dwelyn Williams. What's up, my man? How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Reed. How you doing tonight?
Good. I better cut this music off or I'm going to go to sleep.
Oh, no, we're going to make sure you don't go to sleep tonight. Not with my loud mouth.
Right? How's it going, man?
It's going very, very well. I cannot complain. Like I always say, I'm forever humbled. Every day that I live and above ground, I cannot complain. I have breath, so therefore I am able. So it's going great, man. A lot of things going on in October, man. A lot of things.
Oh yeah, it's a busy month.
Oh yes, and we're not just talking about Halloween either.
No, in fact, to be perfectly frank, that's the furthest thing from my mind right now. We got too much other stuff going on,
You know what? Me too. But I already got my costume ready, so whenever I go to Vegas, so But yeah, it's on the least part of my list, and so I'm excited. As we get older with adults, we celebrate Halloween a little bit more than the children. So I'm excited.
I hate to ask you, but what are you dressing up as, or maybe?
Oh, I'm happy to say it. So those of y'all who don't know, or you're gonna find out right now. Anthony Reed and myself, we love comics. Uh, him and I differ. Anthony leads more towards DC, and I'm more towards Marvel. Not that we say one is better than the other, but it's perception. But I'm gonna be a Marvel character. I'm gonna be Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight is the alter ego of Moon Knight. So I got my costume yesterday. I got my mask and the eyes light up, so I cannot wait.
Moon Knight. He's the alter ego of Moon Knight?
Yeah, Mr. Knight. So I think it was Mark Spector, if I'm not mistaken. Those who correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mark Spector is the ego where he is trying to establish and get comfortable with becoming Moon Knight. So therefore he has an all white suit, but he has the white mask with the little moon on his head. So he doesn't have the full armor of Moon Knight. He has he has the little white suit, and that kind of fits my persona. All white suit, white mask. I guess I'd be like a knight in shining armor, I would say.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to. Yes, I was right. Moon Knight, the actor that played that is actually from Guatemala.
That is correct. That is actually correct. Yeah, he's a well-talented actor. He also played in Dune as well, the new revised movie of Dune. So yes, definitely is.
Yep. So anyhow, enough with all the casual talking about Marvel.
Right.
And yes, I'm more DC.
Yeah.
My favorite character is Question.
Question?
The Question, yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember you told me that. DC has wonderful artists too. Wonderful characters. They go neck and neck.
They do. They
really do.
No,
they definitely inspired me, and you and I both know about that. So
Yeah. Now I hate to do this, but I need to close this door back here. So give me just a second, ladies and gentlemen.
You sure thing, man. You close the door, and the crowd, we will patiently wait for you.
Alrighty. Oof. Now I'm back.
I
That
hear that.
didn't take
I
too
hear
long.
that.
Oh, sorry about that, folks. Anyhow, let me just try not to roll too much. There we go. I got it. Anyhow, we're here for one purpose tonight, right? I mean, this is the thing you and I have talked about, and it is really celebrating the dialysis technicians,
Right.
recognizing them and recognizing not only the work they do, but the things that they what I like to say is they help dreams to continue. They
Oh,
help
okay.
dreams to be
Mm,
fulfilled because without the dialysis technician, and I think, I want to focus on them. They're able to take care of the patients, right? I mean, I
mhm.
was a patient. I had dialysis technicians take care of me back when I was on dialysis.
Right.
Of course, when I went in, I thought everybody was a nurse. And one
Right.
technician, she promptly corrected me and said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm a dialysis technician."
Right.
But you're a business nurse. No, 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 no. I'm a dialysis technician. And she she did the best to try to get that through my head, and eventually it did. But I think it's something that we definitely need to celebrate and recognize for all the great work that y'all do. And Dwelyn, you're a
Mhm.
technician yourself, correct?
Yes, for 22 years now. So I've been a dialysis technician half my life. Which which you all know that I've been a traveling technician for I have been like off and on for 7 years, but I'm currently living in the Phoenix, Arizona area for the past 2.5 years now. But I came out here as a traveling tech from Orlando, Florida.
Right. Right. So I think it's interesting. You've done it for 22 years, and I'm sure in those 22 years you've had a plethora of experience as a technician. I would have to say
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I would say a little bit, just a little, you know.
just a little bit. You've had a lot of times, and I know there's people in the industry that know you very well. Um,
Right, right,
People would say, "Oh, I've known Dwellin for ages. He's been around so long." And
right.
and one of the things they say, why? And I may be bringing up some, but I'm going to ask this anyhow. Because they
Of
asked
course.
it, and they said, why in the world hasn't he decided to become a nurse?
You know, I actually had that conversation with I had some nursing students today, at my job today. I was in Mesa, Arizona, and I had two nursing students who that were kind of shadowing me, just observing. And I have this conversation many times. I went over and over in my head for years, back and forth about becoming a nurse, but and there's nothing wrong with becoming a nurse. I mean, it takes a special type of person to be a registered nurse, especially to be a dialysis nurse as well. I came to the conclusion that I don't want to just do it for the money because it's not just about the money when you work in healthcare. I mean, money matters, but that's not all that. That's not all that there is. And I just, I don't want to. It's not my place to serve as a nurse to individuals who suffer from ESRD, which is end-stage renal disease. And I got that from San Trevino, which he said he don't. I don't like to say patients, because they're people. So um, I went back and forth. I've had many people say you should go to nursing school, and I pose this question when I say, well, what's wrong with being a dialysis technician? And they kind of pause, and I continue to say I am important. I don't have to go to school to become a nurse to be important now, and I say that respectfully because um, in my line of work and in my career, in my profession, in all the places I've been, I would hear an abundance of technicians say, "I'm gonna go to nursing school," and I would ask why, and they would, of course, they would say, I want to do better. I want to be able to serve. And I would say, well, what else? And they say, they would kind of pause a little bit. And I said, well, you can serve as a technician. And there's so many things that dialysis technicians can do, that I've learned throughout the years, getting more involved in different organizations such as PKD, NKF, NANT, et cetera, kidney trails. So I've learned that being a technician, there are no limits. There are no limits. When it comes to your dreams and your ambitions. I don't want to say that being a nurse is just a title. but it's a title.
Well, it is it's a title that takes a lot of schooling. but
Yes,
but
yes,
you said something, and I want to go back to this. You said something that I think is very important. Is
right,
some people say that, well, I got to be a nurse because I've got to serve. In all reality, any of us can serve no matter the capacity. It doesn't
that's
really
correct.
matter whether you're an AA or you're a dialysis assistant, a biomed. But the technicians, to me, and here's why I say this, and I'm making the technicians that I know, and it's not every just technicians. But a
Yes,
lot of the technicians I saw, what they did is what they would do is they'd have time to talk one on one with
yes,
that patient centered care. It's not that everybody doesn't do it. It's that
right,
they're there face to face. They hear things that, and plus, as a patient, as a former patient, I
right,
would be more comfortable talking to you about a situation that's going on with me physically than I would
right.
be about a nurse.
Exactly.
Because with the technician, it's not a lot of times I never felt that I was getting judged, and I hate to say that.
Right,
Of course, you more than likely would report that back to the nurse,
right.
especially
As
if
you
it's
say, yes,
something critical, but sometimes with the technicians, there was a little bit easier connection, because
yes,
they're there just to care. I mean, everybody's there
right,
to care, but they're there because and that it was like this barrier where we
yeah,
were both one and the same. And
right.
so just
That's
like
right.
you're sitting there, I would share with you, say, "Hey, look, you know, um, this happened and I hit my head," or something like whatever it was.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
would report it back, and then the nurse would come over and talk to me, said such and such said, but I felt a little bit more comfortable than telling the nurses
Right,
that. But
right.
hey, Alex, we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for coming on
Uh,
board and tuning
there,
in, right?
that's Dr. Spice from Ohio. How are you?
All the way from Ohio. Yeah.
Yes,
So I think that's a very important job that you have.
right.
And the other thing is too, you were able to find your purpose doing this.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So,
Yes,
so
you and I talk about that a lot. The purpose with passion.
purpose, yeah, purpose, vision, a lot of different things. But and I
Right,
know you told the story, and I think sometimes you can't share it enough.
right.
Um, hey Emily, how are you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah,
I
tuning in.
talk with, yeah, I messaged Emily today. Yesterday, we exchanged. I like to message her every now and then. Hey, Emily, how you doing? She's in Ohio now too, Cleveland area.
Oh wow, Emily's in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, she's close to Alex, so I said, yeah, her and Alex can probably, they can probably make a connection as well.
Oh yeah, Alex. Yeah, I didn't know that. So Emily and Alex, y'all were really close to each other.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good connections for me.
Right.
I hope your family's doing well, Alex. I hope your family's
Yes.
doing well. So we were at purpose, and that's the thing is
Yes.
now I'm gonna talk to this because what made you, and I know I'm asking this for those that may not have heard the story, but
Right.
why why get into the dialysis field?
Oh, that's a great question. So was as I said before, which you already know, and those of you who do not know, my mother, back in the early '90s, she suffered from end-stage renal disease. Like I said, ESRD, end-stage renal disease. So back in the early '90s, it wasn't as well known as it is today. We have come so far. Now, my mother, it hit home, and in our household, and most parents, they like to keep things from their children. So my mother knew that she was going through things as far as her being a diabetic and high blood pressure, and she just kind of kept it under wraps. So I um I really got interested in it when, as I would take her to dialysis in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I'm from. Um, she would dread about going. Now you got to remember, I didn't know nothing about dialysis. I mean, it's before I even turned 20. It's like when I was like 16 or 17 years old. So I was graduating high school. So I didn't know nothing. The wetness behind my ears was dripping. And I didn't take advantage of seeing how in depth my mother was feeling and how her health was declining. I did notice the changes of her being a little bit more sad, and that was actually depression. She was moving a little slower, wasn't smiling as much, wasn't talking as much. um, and she would dread about going to dialysis, and I never asked why in the beginning. Whenever someone takes their family member to dialysis, at least back then, from the outside, you have a building, you dropping somebody off and say, "Hey, what time do you get? What time should I pick you up?" That sounds like somebody that's going to go shopping. And Anthony, you and everybody out there who has experience with dialysis, it's no walk down the grocery aisle. And my mother would walk in dreading, but coming out, a little bit dizzy, a little off balance. And I used to remember just to pull up and it's like, well, where is she? What is she doing? Because I didn't know what was going on. Not
Right.
until I think I had a technician at the time, and I didn't know there was a technician because, like I said, growing up in Fayetteville back then, this was before the internet, before you can log on. You had to go to the unemployment office and get referrals, or you had to look at the want ads. So I just showed my
Right.
age. So I had a technician come out to the car and say, Dwelyn, Miss Annie, because that's what they call her, Miss Annie. Miss Annie needs you to come inside. And I was like, okay, what I could come in there for. So I remember walking into the lobby and they let me back in. And it looked like these chairs were sitting up high. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is all this? And I really couldn't see the machines, but I saw 20 other people, individuals sitting. And I'm looking like, okay, they're just sitting down. Okay. And it was explained to me that my mother's blood pressure was low. She's feeling kind of sick. She was nauseous, vomit, etc. I still didn't understand because all I understood was, okay, mom, let's go. So that was lack of experience, lack of maturity, lack of awareness. But what sparked me was that, and whenever I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I remember going to the unemployment office because I was always seeking something and I just didn't know what it was. And at the time, I was working for a land surveyor. I was a draftsman, dealing with AutoCAD and drawing by hand. And that's when you got the referrals. And Anthony, I came across it and it said dialysis technician. I was like, dialysis. I was like, what is that? What got me was it said no experience. So I said, ding, 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 that's me, And I remember that was my first choice. I said, let me see what this is all about. I want to see what my mother was going through. And it was something that I know that I could not accomplish, that I could choose as a profession. And at the time, it was a job. Now this is my profession. So I remember taking the referral. It was off of Bettiesville Road. I'll never forget. And I took the referral, filled out an application, and I got called within a week. And I remember the interview, and at the time there was a DON with a nurse. And I remember she told me, now mind you, I had no experience. She said, what made you want to come and join us? I said, well, my mother was on dialysis. She was at the time, and then she received a transplant a year later. And I said, my mother's on dialysis. And I said, I want to know what this is about. She said, okay. So I guess my enthusiasm kind of won her over my personality. And I guess that's where I am today is, as far as my personality, because I'm true. And I remember Anthony, she asked me, she said, what do you think that you could bring as far as bringing an asset to our company? I said, I can show you better than I can tell you. And boy, let me tell you, I got my what handed to me, So in all actuality, what it was is my late mother has inspired me to become a dialysis technician and to continue my career and work on my legacy as we speak today.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Appreciate it.
here's the thing about it. I think about that. You were explaining when you walked in.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I walked in.
Mm,
I remember it.
different perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember walking in and seeing all those machines
Yeah.
and seeing the people. And what stood out to me is I was the youngest one there.
How were you then?
22.
22. Yes,
22.
yes,
I
yes.
was one of the youngest. But it was a lot of things going through, but I could from going and it's funny that, I had the personal experience. You've had a family member. We're both in the field. We're both in the
Yes.
industry. A
Right.
little different with what both of us do, but we're still do the same thing as far as caring for patients. But Now that you're a technician, okay,
Mhm.
you've helped a lot of people achieve their dreams, and I say this before, and I've talked about this before, and different
Mhm.
things is that as someone that's in the medical field, you're not just taking care of that patient, right?
Right.
You're not just, and I've heard the fact, well, you're giving someone or patient, you're giving that individual another day with their grandson, the grandchildren, anything like that,
Right.
their family, wife, husband, which is all true. I'm not
Right.
gonna, say that it was not true. But what I
Right.
would say is this: is that if that's all that you're doing, is it
Mhm.
enough?
Mm.
And here's the
So the
reason.
que
Here's the reason why.
Mhm.
It's more than just the family members, okay?
Right.
It's
Mhm.
more than a person's world. That person may have a dream they're trying to fulfill, and
Right.
they're handed this, some people like to say, a bad hand, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dialysis. And so when I started looking at it this way, it's you're really helping those people fulfill those dreams. It could
Mhm.
be being that grandfather, grandmother, being that
Right.
son or daughter, being whatever. That could be their dream.
Right.
But you really are dream makers.
I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, that's what you do, and I mean, that's
Mm.
exactly what every time you go to, you know, uh, put someone on dialysis, take them off, you've given that person another day to live. Yes, you've given them chances to be around their family more, but you've also given them the opportunity to, one,
Yes.
fulfill the dream
That's right.
and fulfill the purpose that they were put here on earth to do.
That's right.
Okay, now,
Right.
we talk a lot about fulfilling dreams, fulfilling your purpose, fulfilling your vision in life, and
Mhm.
self-development, self-help.
Right.
So if we do that, if we talk about that there, but you're doing it, you're giving people
Right.
an opportunity, isn't that not just as important?
I never looked at it like that, to be honest. I'm glad that you said that, and it brings me to, you know, and I've seen many, many individuals out there that I help provide care for, and it's so many different personalities, and and I shared this story before about the gentleman that when I was in Anchorage, Alaska, and how he told me, you know, he said, "You're the reason why I come," and I was like, "Man, whatever," And like I said, I said this before, and I didn't realize that I had such an effect on someone's life, and to go beyond that, this gentleman was the same race as me, a little bit older, and I wasn't thinking on those terms because when you're a healthcare provider, you don't think about race or religion. You're there to help someone. But as he shared with me that how he can relate to me even more by him being an African American male, I wasn't thinking what he dealt with outside of the clinic because it was tunnel vision. Go clock in, do what you got to do, leave respectfully, not treat it as clocking in to clock out. And what I mean by that is because that's a difference. I came in to do what I had to do, and I said, "Okay, I'll leave," and I left it there. That's when I realized that, and I said this before. I feel a true healthcare worker or professional never clocks out mentally.
Mm-mm.
We clock out physically. We never clock out mentally. Um, it's hard. I don't want to say it's almost damn near impossible whenever you want to serve that purpose with passion, empathetic, when you walk accordingly, you want to lead by example, and I can go on and on. So when I learned that the effect that I had on someone in their life, I took a few step backs. That's when I realized self-awareness to an extent, not fully. I started to watch more what I say, how I look, my body language, how I act, how I conduct myself. I mean, I still act like a kid. I admit it, because that's me. But I had to be taught that there's a life outside of dialysis, and you have to respect an individual's time. And we as a technician, and those of us, we have the ability, the honor, pleasure, uh, the gift to serve. So when you say that, it made me focus more on, okay, what's beyond that? I never asked that question, but I always thought, so what's beyond that? I wonder what these individuals do when they're not here. I wonder, do they hate coming? Do they love coming? Because 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, majority of renal patients, oh, I'm ready to get this over with. There's a very slight few that enjoy coming. And then I had to go more in depth to find out why that was. And I did, in some cases, I did.
Yeah, I mean, some people do, and you're right. You don't never know
Yeah,
what people are actually doing. A lot of
right,
times, I shared a lot of things that I was doing. Of
right.
course, one of the things I shared with is that I was getting married and asked to get in a little earlier, but that was like 2 weeks before my marriage, and my team about had my head or how I
Right,
could do better because they didn't know about it. You know,
right.
but it's very interesting when I think about that, and I've thought about that lately, especially is that uh, when you're taking care of those individuals, you're not only just taking care of them, you're taking care of their family, you're taking care of their
Yes,
dream, you're taking care of their hope, their purpose, their passion, what they're passionate
right.
about. Some people I know, you and I know people that were artists or that have been artists.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
right.
I drew while I was on there. Was I an artist? No, I just enjoyed drawing.
Right.
And when we talk about artists, I have to look at what's behind your head. So if you could just move over just a little bit, and we're gonna share why.
There we go,
So,
right there.
it
Yes.
yeah. So, Dwelyn, as a
Yes.
technician, okay, you
Hmm.
know, a lot of people, they have what I call, I know a technician or in the medical industry, you don't just have a 9 to 5 job,
Never.
but I call it
Never.
a some people, even though they're not working a 9 to 5 job, they treat it like a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Meaning, they go to work and then they go home. They go to work and go
Right.
home, and if that's what they want, that's fine. I'm not
Right.
gonna, hopefully they like what they do. I would,
Yeah.
uh, but you have done something in the role as a technician that far exceeds what the major. I'm just gonna put it this far exceeds what probably 99% of the technicians out there have done.
Mm. Let's see.
And so
Um,
you say, well, why is that? Well, let's take a look. You saw the pictures behind him, correct? So Dwelyn, not only he's told how he started into it, why he got into as a dialysis technician, right? Ladies and gentlemen, he also took it a lot further than anybody I've ever seen. And last year, we had the great opportunity. I had the great opportunity to be a part of it to publish
mhm.
what I have seen only one of the very first graphic novels about a dialysis technician
Um,
taking care of someone on dialysis.
right.
Now, I got a question to all those in the audience. Would you like to see a little preview of this? And if so, drop something in the comments because we're going to
Right.
have something coming out here in just a few seconds as soon as I can get it loaded up in my comments.
Right.
So, what made you decide, hey, look, instead of being a technician, it's not just a
Hmm.
technician. How can I elevate my career more?
Hmm.
So, while I'm doing all these things that I'm being given, how can I elevate it? What can I do to take the next step? And you took a huge step.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yes.
what made you change what made you take that next step?
Well, like I said, when I moved to Orlando, Florida, when I left Las Vegas, I was a point in my career where I was a little bit lost. I was trying to find myself. I was trying to find that next step, being beyond a technician, but not saying I'm gonna just go to nursing school. So I moved to Orlando, Florida. I transferred and was in hopes of further my career within a certain company. And while doing that, I got something greater. I met this gentleman by the name of Torrey Harris. He was a renal patient at the facility, and I'm gonna get into that. And I remember it was a TTS day, and those of you who mean by TTS, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I think it was on a Thursday. I remember I was about to go to break, and I see this gentleman sitting there, and he has this big white pad on his lap. And excuse me, excuse me, my allergies. And I remember I saw this Man, I saw this picture. I thought it was a cartoon. And I thought it was a coloring book. I said, man, I said, you drew that? And he said it ever so nonchalantly. He's like, yeah. And mind you, Torrey Harris is from the Bronx, New York. So he's more laid back. He's from the BX. He's from the Boogie Down. Anthony, I didn't even take my break. I looked at him draw and I said, he made me a flyer first. And that's when I was promoting NANT, me becoming, the DTX 19 president. I was the president-elect. And I said, well, this is a way I can paint a picture for individuals who do not know about dialysis. So I had Tori draw me a picture of me next to a machine with my arm propped up. And I still got that picture. I got to send it to you. You'll love it. And what resonated was when I showed this to individuals, people said, Dwelyn, that's you. Oh, Emily said the link is not clickable. She said can't copy and paste it either. Emily, we'll definitely get it to you, but Anthony's going to try to work on that a little bit more. So whenever he drew this picture of me, and when individuals said it looked like me, that's when I knew. I said I gotta get this gentleman. I got to get him out there. So and him and I have always talked about me doing a comic book, and I still was trying to figure out how I was going to go about this. And how it could be dialysis or renal or kidney related. So what I did was, as I became a blogger for the Kidney Trails, when Anthony, when you reached out to me and you and I talked about this, I was like, Anthony, I have a gentleman that he's an artist and he's a renal patient. And I know you was like, well, okay, wow. And what I did was, whenever I started blogging for the Post, I gave him the storyline. Anthony, do you know what this gentleman said to me whenever I asked him, could he draw something for me? He said, all I need is pictures and a story. He said, I can take care of the rest. And he has done that. What he has done with, this graphic novel is he allowed me as a technician in this day and age to go back in time, take my mother from her death in spirit, bring her back as a renal patient in in the year 2020, 21, 2022, and allow me to explain the knowledge that I have right now to her, not as my mother, and not only as my mother, but as an individual that I take care of, and in the lives of everyone else's mother as well. And one thing we all can agree, that dialysis is graphic. Healthcare is graphic. Whenever someone comes out the hospital and you ask them, so how did it go? They can't tell you. They can only say,
I'm living.
You live. I made it. They gave me a T-shirt that I made it, And that's just the negative part. But hospitals are good. Overall they're good because they're there to serve. There is not one bad hospital. There's not one bad clinic. When I was a guest on Jamisha's show, and her and I talked, she said there is no healthcare worker that wakes up and say, you know what, I want to work short and I want to have a bad day today. She said that. She said none of us think like that. And with dialysis, I think it's even worse because it's repetitive repetition, and depending on how you perceive life, hell can be repetitious, but also heaven can be as well. It's about how you perceive it. And what I wanted to do for my renal patients was for them to be able to, whether they speak English or any type of language, it doesn't matter. I want to provide them with the pictures and the artwork to say, hey, to their family members and to anyone who asks, hey, you want to know what I'm going through? This is it. And I tell you, Mr. Reed, the feedback that we have gotten, I know at least on my end with the graphic novel, it's been great. And individuals have always said, this is what I'm going through. And that to me is beyond money. And I say that, I go for the record and I say that's beyond money because I fulfill my purpose with passion and I'm going to continue.
Yeah.
And, and like I said, a year ago, whenever I had a renal patient whose husband says to me, and I tell this all the time, he said, Dwelyn, he said, and, he paused And I was like, hey man, what's wrong? He said, man, I now know what she's going through, and I can kind of relate. So I felt like I did a little bit of couples counseling in a sense, because I take a little bit of credit for that because I was not my graphic novel, excuse me, our graphic novel, The Kidney Trails, was considered non-biased. It's for everybody. It's not just for AW, which is my mother. It's not for it's for everybody who is on dialysis. It's everyone who received the transplant. It is for individuals who don't know what to expect, and it's for individuals who just want to know, who may want to study, whether they're in school, college, elementary, etc. I literally had a renal patient recently at one of the facilities that I work at. She let her 7-year-old daughter look at the book, and do you know that her kids were fighting over the book, saying, "This is what mom is going through."
Yeah.
She came to me with excitement. Dwelyn. My teenage boys in high school were fighting over this book because they wanted to see what I was going through. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot tell me that is not grand. Because Anthony, you can attest to this. Anytime someone gives you their book, they're giving you a piece of them.
Oh yeah.
Ursuline Kinnebrew, and I have her book right here, and she's one of my mentors. Unpacking Your Backpack. I have my autographed copy here. Ursuline, and I know Ursuline, and Ursuline, she gave me her book, and she said, "Well, did you read my book?" I was like, "No." She said, when someone gives you their book, they give you a piece of them. That's grand.
Oh
That
yeah.
is grand. That is
Well,
grand.
well, you and I have talked about this as well. Is when you sit down with a book,
Yes.
you have the very unique any book, and you have a unique opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with the author,
Right.
and to be able to take what they are teaching and either to be able to take it and apply what you can to your life and save the rest
Yes.
for later or just put it back on the shelf. I mean,
True. True.
that's the thing. I mean, I have conversations when I read a book. I think about it. I got Joe Foster's book from founder of Reebok.
Right.
Great guy, by the way, phenomenal
Right.
guy. I was able to hear him speak.
Mhm.
But I got his book. I got some of Zig Ziglar's books. You know, even though they may be passed on, someone's passed on, you still have that unique opportunity every time you sit down to read a book. You're
Yes.
able to grab that book and sit down with that author, one on one with that author, and learn from them. You know, I think I saw a poll the other day. Somebody put it out on LinkedIn, and they said, "Would you rather have $1 million or an hour with Warren Buffett?"
Right.
And the $1 million won out.
Of course.
But
Yes.
whatever, that's whatever somebody thinks. It's whatever them. You know, personally, I would rather have the hour with Warren Buffett, but I can still have the hour with these great people because
Yeah.
I can take their book, sit down, read with it one on one. So, and the thing is, this is the thing about it. When people pick up your graphic novel, right? They have how much ever time it takes
Yeah.
session with you to talk with you
Right.
for you to share your experience through art and Tori's too to share through the art and through the story that
Mhm.
y'all are producing, that we're
That's
producing.
right.
So I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I see growing in your role as a technician is more than just growing in your job.
Right.
That's growing in your jobs is needed, and I'm sure we
Yes.
could talk. We could definitely dissect that portion of it, how we can
All
improve
right.
the how we can make dialysis technicians more their position more valuable, make a
All
stair
right.
step ladder. Let's expand position. We could talk all about that.
Right.
But what can dialysis technicians do for themselves
Hmm.
to expand their career? From you,
Oh.
what would be your thing? What would you see that they can do to expand their career? Not just in their no, that's not just at their job,
Right. In their career.
but in their
Oh
career
yes.
as a whole.
So now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this, and I love that because ladies and gentlemen, we were just serving hors d'oeuvres earlier. So my main focus, a point message to get across to technicians, that first and foremost I would like you know to appreciate yourself first, and do self investment. Know your worth and know your value. So I give you an example. So with me, I use myself as an example. I would start off with more positive, like-minded individuals. Two platforms, if you want to go with the social media route, is LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a professional website. Put yourself amongst decision makers and those who can resonate your career and ignite the spark behind you, and just observe. I would say second, you join NANT. It's the National Association for Nephrotic Technicians and Technologists. That is the only organization for dialysis technicians. You have to get involved first. If it doesn't evolve you, then I would suggest don't get involved. So now to further that, you have to surround yourself by like-minded individuals that want to go beyond. So that's one thing. So technicians, we are, as they say that we are the front line of the defense for renal patients and in chronic facilities, et cetera. Me, and like I said, I have to use myself as an example. I chose to get into the acute setting where I can learn more about different aspects of the hospital, learn peritoneal, and learn home hemo. So therefore, I can come back to a chronic facility, which is outpatient service, and be able to have a conversation with a renal patient about their options. Like I said at RHA, especially in Indianapolis, if you want to get technicians more involved to serve the option and not push, serve the option for home dialysis, we must first start from scratch and groom your technicians with professional development, self-awareness, self-investment, therefore, and to carry on. So it is not that hard, I mean, as a technician, before I got involved with other organizations, I was kind of lost. I knew that what I did was important. I really just couldn't define it until I started visiting other clinics and learning from other technicians. Either they have more experience than me or not, because veterans can learn from rookies. We can do that. I once was told, you've been doing dialysis for a long time, and you're probably fine with helping, but are you willing to receive help? And I stood back. I was like, oh, that's important, because I've not met one person that that has all the answers. And an experienced cannulator knowing they can't cannulate somebody. Every leader is not a coach. So now I get on precepting. So, my thing is, if anybody is a technician and they want to further, I would say first start off being a preceptor. If your facility allows it, which a lot of technicians are doing. You have a lot of technicians that are becoming assistant facility administrators. I suggest, and this is a key element, this is what I suggest, and I propose from my experience and my perception. If you want technicians to invest in themselves, to appreciate themselves more, to encourage them to be more of an asset, I suggest that every organization out there train their preceptors or anyone interested technician-wise to be an assistant facility administrator. That way you can give that facility administrator a chance to coach and groom. If it can be done, that will build the confidence in a technician, from my perspective, with the task that will be at hand. It would show that they can not only work from the business side, but also do the clinical side. And so therefore, I think the respect will grow amongst their peers.
Right.
That's how I view it. That's what I aspired to do. That's what I had in my head whenever I aspired to be an assistant facility administrator. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna work on the floor. I'm gonna help them. And then when I leave, I'm gonna go to the office and I'm gonna do this. I had it all in my head, and I was able to do that, and I still have that drive because I live alone. And it's fortunate I don't have someone home with me, so therefore I ain't got nothing but time. Like I said before, it's not 24/7. I can do 25/8 because I'm dedicated. And in some cases that could be easier said than done. But I was, and I'm always still up for that challenge.
Right.
I'm here for it. So I can go on and on about what I can suggest a technician do. But I forgot to mention one thing: compensation, monetary compensation. So we all want to get paid more. I'm gonna keep it real. Like I said, we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. You know, I remember talking with a technician and saying, you know what? There's no way I'll be a facility administrator because they get paid salary and I wouldn't make enough. I said, well, that's possibly so. I don't know. I said, but it's more than what you're making monetarily right now. I said, but you also gain more fulfillment. I said, can you just imagine what that would look like on your resume and how much respect you would get from your renal patient and your peers? I say it's a transition, but are you up for the challenge? So that's my advice. That's what I propose. And I think that would be a great avenue for more organizations to invest into their dialysis technicians and not PCTs, because I did say PCT because we're not PCTs. I don't want to be referred to as a PCT. No disrespect to PCTs, but those of us who are dialysis technicians, we have to get certified every 2 to 3 years. We have to pay for that, and we are we have an abundance of value and continuous becoming an asset.
Right.
So, like I
So
said, but that's just my opinion. That's how I see it, and I stand by
right,
that.
right. So let's talk about it this way. You're talking about a lot of things that we can do in the clinic, right?
Yeah,
Which I think is it's great and it's needed. I think
yeah,
some of these things could be definitely, like I said, dissected and talked about in a we could literally do a whole day session, like a
of
workshop.
course. I'm here for it.
But let's look at it this way: to
uh,
those that are in leadership, when you think about it, how in the world can they invest, or how can people invest into their own people? I mean,
mhm.
back in the day when I was in, well, I'm still in leadership, obviously, but
Right.
when I first started my first leadership role back in 2012.
Mhm.
I remember one individual. She was old school. She had been a store manager, and she was old school. I mean, she was kind of the what we used to call the bull and whip type of
Oh
manager,
man.
but she was a great person. And
Right.
she came down hard on me a few times because she says, "You're just not doing it right."
Right.
But one thing she told me,
Right.
and I remember a few other people said, "The best thing you can invest into is your own people."
Of
And in
course.
all reality, they're not your people.
Right.
Because what they are,
Right.
they don't work for you, they work with you for a
Exactly.
common goal, and the best thing you
Exactly.
can do with those that work with you is to invest into them,
That's
whether
right.
it is, and I remember I used to send out motivational quotes of the week, every week.
Yes.
Every Monday, I'd send out a motivational quote. I would, a lot of people say, "Well, we got open door policies," and that's fine, that's great. Uh,
Yes.
I would bring people I would find a chair and talk to them 5 minutes, see how they're doing, see how
Right.
really things are going.
Right.
But how do you see that people, what would be a way, and a lot of things, I don't wanna get in too much in this and when it comes to budget and stuff like that, but what
Right.
do you think what type of way do you think that leadership can invest in their own people without spending any money on the budget?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. That's easy. So I suggest and propose if it's able, because we all are short staffed. The whole world's been short for years. It's just been happening more the past couple of years. But I propose, like I said at RHA in Indianapolis, you're gonna have to, and I'm gonna say us. I'm not gonna say technicians because I'm not excluded. You're gonna have to challenge us more and hold us more accountable by taking on more leadership roles, but you have to explain to us how it will make us an asset. That's one. Two, I tell everyone, and I'm saying it now, and this goes for me. I'm always working towards my eval when it comes time for my evaluation. Whenever I first clock in day one, so you remind the technician of, hey, when the eval come up, are you ready? And it's kind of like emergency preparedness, but we want to talk about professional preparedness. That's another thing. Three, have your technician or your preceptor or the leader on the floor lead a homeroom meeting once a week. Have them come up with a topic. And when I use myself as an example again, I did this when I first got to the Phoenix, Arizona area. My FA at the time, I said, I would like to propose something at our home meeting. She said, and she supported me heavily. She supported me 150%.
Yeah.
I said, this is what I did. And she didn't know what I was going to do. I wrote down everybody's name on a piece of paper. And there was about 10 or 12 of us. I shook it around, I shuffled it around. I told them, pick a name and don't pick your name and don't let me see who you pick. And oh, Anthony, let me tell you, there were some faces like, because it's probably someone that they didn't get along with or someone they probably truly didn't like or approve of. So whenever I gave them the piece of paper, they already knew where I was coming with. I said, I want you to say one positive thing about that person's piece of paper that you picked. And I'm gonna tell you, it was so quiet you could hear a mouse pee on cotton. That's how quiet it was. You could hear hearts beat. I'm quite sure that deodorant was running amok because it was so hot under their arms because they panicked and it was under the pressure. But what it did was it was a major icebreaker that shattered, and we took that ice and we made iced tea. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, hopefully there
So
was sugar in it.
yeah, well, I mean, life is sweet. Yeah, exactly. So it's certain things like that, and to reach fulfillment, I would say. So that was fulfilling. So I didn't ask for extra money to do that because that's something that I wanted. Now, there's other ways to compensate other than monetary things. You can support your technicians with a card on any given day. It doesn't have to be their birthday. It doesn't have to be Christmas.
Or a
On any
dialysis
given
technician week.
Dialysis Technician week, yeah, exactly. You can get other things besides pizza. I mean, I like pizza. And that's a big thing with technicians. They like, oh, we have pizza. I like pizza. And not to complain because it's still food, but maybe you know go beyond that. If we talk about budget, ask your technicians what they want. Give them open floor. We are technicians are always being told what to do instead of saying, what do you suggest? I'm gonna need you to do this. I'm gonna need you to do that. I'm gonna need you to do that. That saying goes, when your most passionate person in your organization is quiet, you need to worry.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because some of the things I like what you said with the cards. That was kind of
Yeah.
my thought,
Yeah.
a nice card. I like the idea of lifting other teammates up. Sometimes it can
Of
be
course.
difficult because
Yes.
we are humans. We have sometimes some differences with others, and it's hard
Right.
to overcome that. But if you're able to think, well, even if it's they showed up for work in the morning, at least that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
However you would like to say it, but the other thing is too, I think, just say a technician really has a drive about them, okay, and they go
Right.
out and they start doing the self-help development books, stuff like that, and
Yeah.
somehow they get, if they're reading, you find it out, recognize them for that. Say, I really
Of
appreciate
course.
your interest in yourself,
Right.
and growing yourself. You don't have to do it, but I want to do it. And
Right.
encourage others to do things of that nature. Encourage others to read a book. I don't know, maybe you could
Right.
have a book challenge, that would be interesting. You
That would
know,
be. That would
book
be.
challenge and you get oh boy, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. You get a free coffee or something. Now, I'm not gonna give free coffees out to somebody that goes reads a book.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'd be making coffees for days.
Oh man. Yeah. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
but it's a thing that I think, really encouraging them. I think a card is very nice, a nice
Yes.
email, "Hey, look, can I chat
Yes.
with you for a few seconds? Look, I was really
Yes.
impressed about what you did." And this goes for everybody. We're focused on technicians this week, but,
Yeah.
really
Exactly.
just bringing them in and encouraging them along the way. Everybody loves to have a good word said about them.
Yeah. Of
I
course.
haven't
Man.
met
Of
anybody that
course.
doesn't like to hear anything good said about them, and I think that's absolutely necessary. These are things that anybody, and not just and honestly, and perfectly frank, it's not just leadership. This can be done peer to peer,
Of
coworker.
course, man. Yeah, because like I said before, like I said, this past week, and I say it again. Oh, it goes both ways. It doesn't always just follow leadership. We have to hold ourselves accountable too. I took it upon myself and said, I don't want to wait on somebody to do anything for me. I want to do it myself. And I vow to be a trailblazer. I like to stand out. I like to be different. I've always been this way even before I became a technician. So this is just me and who I am. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the best technician out there. I'm one of the least best ones. I just challenge myself, and I encourage technicians to challenge themselves even more. I've met a lot of technicians who said they love what they do, but they felt underappreciated. That's the key with some organizations. I would say I can't speak on all, but from the feedback that I get is probably like a little bit lack of appreciation. But like I said, we have to hold ourselves accountable too, because I've never worked for an organization that didn't appreciate me. One, well, I haven't. There's not one organization that I work for, 4 or 5 of them, that has not appreciated me. They have all appreciated me because I appreciated myself. You see what I'm saying? I had to be held accountable for mistakes that I made. I have. I mean, I'm human, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And like I said, I live and thrive off the spirit of my mother who passed, and I'm going to continue. I mean, I'm here to stay.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's like I said, we can go on about this conversation. I would like more technicians to get involved with us at the Kitty Trail, be guest authors. We can help them. Express their feelings. So you got me as a technician who I'm only one. I'm only like a little drop of rain in the storm of Seattle, Washington. And you know how I love the city of Seattle, which I'll be there this Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. But so I'm only one drop of rain, and every drop of rain has their story. I am not the only technician that can write a graphic novel. I am not the only one, because we all have a different perspective of how we give care. Because Anthony, whenever you and I published this graphic novel, we specifically said from a dialysis technician's perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So,
That's right.
but you can only lead the horse to water,
Can't make them drink.
and if he's thirsty, he probably still won't drink because he probably like the way the water look. I don't know. All I can do is, and I hate to be blunt and hate to be cruel, but I'm going to do it. I'm from the East Coast, and we have little filter. I live by the sand. And those who know me, I'm always encouraging. Even at my job, and we speak, I always try to encourage because I know potential. But I will say this: I'm going to get where I need to go, even if I have to drop you off along the way. I will do that. I have done it, and it's unfortunate. And I haven't always been this way. I haven't always been, seeking higher professional development. I used to, go to work kind of, be late, wasn't, didn't take it as serious because I didn't know the effect that I had on individuals' lives.
Right.
And not just the patient, but coworker, but not and my coworkers as well.
Yeah, you affect so many different people, and I've said this before too. Is I think about when we met at NANT,
Yeah.
right? And I was thinking about this before I went on stage, and I do it almost every time. When I go out on stage, it's not me just talking.
Right.
It's the technicians that took care of me. It's the
Right.
care team that took care. So when you have that opportunity, and you really do affect generations to come by being a technician, and you can impact you, and the thing is, as a technician, this is with anybody once again, but you have the opportunity, okay, to
Mm-hmm.
either make a very positive impact or a negative impact. You can say the right thing at the right time at the right moment and create the right results, or you can say the wrong thing at the wrong time at the wrong moment and create the wrong results. It's really, and it's
Right.
you got to pull back sometimes and rethink. I mean, I do it all the time. Hey, if I say this is going to be, but you have, and I can say this, you have that power to make a positive impact or negative impact. That would probably be the best way to put it. Everybody
Yeah.
that does that every day has the chance, and they have the power within themselves to make either a positive impact or negative impact. It depends on how they respond, number one, to the situation that's going around them, number two, how
Yes.
they respond to the comments that are coming around them, whether good or bad,
Right. That's right.
and how they present themselves. So I think it's
Yes.
really something that it's taking it up, and this is another way. This is another way that those of you that are technicians can move up. It's more than
Yeah.
just, you say the right thing at the right time, you may save a person's life. You say the wrong thing at the wrong time, you may have just decimated their whole hopes and futures and dreams.
Oh yeah. And I would like to add, with me, I would say this because I remember this was said to one of my mentors, my peers, at a board meeting, and she said, Once you send an email out to the world, once you put send, it belongs to the world. You cannot take it back. That's the same thing as a text message. That's the same thing as a social media post. So I say that, and I say it with confident respect. We are all in the fishbowl, and every day is an interview. When we do our live streams, there's always somebody watching. We're always in the fishbowl. One, this is being recorded so people can go back. Two, this is an interview. Whoever's out there who seek to, work with us, et cetera, to partner with us. So, it's all about mindset and its representation. I remember what you said to me, Anthony, and I have to steal this from you. And these are your words. I use myself as an example, like I always try to. I'm not worried about representing the companies that I work for here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. I'm not worried about representing the kidney trails. I'm worried about representing myself, because once I represent myself to the full capacity and correct, everything else falls into place. So therefore, I am representing those organizations and the kidney trails.
Yes,
And when
I said that to you.
you did, and when you said it to me, I said, "Man, you're right." Because when individuals worry about representing themselves, that you represent who you work for, who you employ by, your profession, all that falls in you. And right now I'm at the age where I'm working on my legacy. You as well. You and I have kids. I have grandkids. You know, I'm not gonna win the lottery no time soon. I hope I do, but at least I can leave them this legacy of mine, of my personal passion, and um, so they know where I'm coming from and know how I feel about things.
Well, I think it's you're definitely, and that's the one thing is working on yourself, working on your legacy. Uh, and when it comes to that, when you work on I love what Jim Rohn says. He said this, and I've taken it to heart. I've done it ever since I heard it. He says, "Work harder on yourselves than you do on your job."
Yeah,
That's what he said.
exactly,
You got to work harder on
exactly.
yourself, work harder on communication, work harder on your mentality, your positive
That's
mentality,
right.
harder on all these other different things. Now, the kidney trails is not without some resources to help you along that way.
That's right.
And in November, and we're going to get back here in just a little bit. We're really getting run a little bit late over, but it is what it is.
Right.
In November, we are doing a Building You conference.
That's correct.
And one of the speakers is Mr. Dwelyn Williams, who will be
Yeah.
speaking on the second day.
Right.
We're going to be talking about, from a biomedical perspective, someone talking about their experience. We're going to be talking about somebody from the dialysis technician experience with
Right.
Dwelyn. You might hear something about somebody that actually did dialysis, ended up going from dialysis to an AA all the way up to a technician, and then end
Right.
up being an RN and go further from there.
That's right.
And now that's where they're at. Then you've got we're working on this right now, and uh, better not say that one just yet until I get it confirmed. And then we have
Yes. Yes.
we have two other great leaders in the renal industry. One will be talking about how to find purpose in your career,
Right.
and it goes on. We've got one day where we're going to be talking about how to social network correctly and use the social media platforms right, how to speak, how to be a better communicator, and then
Yes.
I think I'm going to be speaking a little bit on how to be a better writer.
Yeah, and we all can use that. I mean, even myself. We all can use that.
And it's out there, and the great thing about it is, and I'm plugging D, and I'm sorry, I'm plugging,
You got to. You
but
have to.
but the conference, after much discussion with the team, the conference will be completely and totally free. There will be no charge this year.
That's right.
Um, there is going to be some seats that we will make available uh,
Hmm.
for those. So tell you what, I will give some of those seats away tonight. I'll give one
Oh,
seat away tonight. How about that? What do you think? You think, Emily, are you still on?
Emily's probably asleep. You know.
She may.
Yeah, because and then we will be offering hopefully contact hours for each day.
Well, we will be. It looks like that we will be offering contact hours for each day. You're right on that one.
That's
Once again, it's completely free. So, tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and gift one of these seats
all right.
away to come in the actual Zoom room. You'll be able to watch it free and clear on all our social media channels.
Look at Emily.
Emily,
She must have heard it.
yes, you must have heard it. Well, I'm glad you heard it. So Emily, tell you what we're gonna do because we've got some tickets to give away, and we're gonna start giving some tickets away. Emily, we would like to invite you as our VIP guest, one of our VIP guests, to the Kidney Trails Business Conference called Building You, where you'll have an opportunity to sit in the Zoom room with the speakers. So just DM me on LinkedIn or wherever at, or email us at kidneytrails@gmail.com, and we'll start working on getting those details over to you. Okay. So we
That's right.
appreciate you being up and staying up this late. At least it's late over here. It's 11:06. I think I must be bonkers because the other day I did one at 5:30 in the morning, and now I'm late at night. I'm like, I'm sitting here like my one eye's wanting to close, the other one's wanting to open. If one closes, they're both gonna go down.
Well, that right there is one word, and you and I talked about it today. That's what you call dedication. You and I had that conversation earlier today, and I told you I'm gonna get my rest if I snore, but it's still dedication. So I mean, you know, hey man, that's all we can do is keep going on and we keep pushing. That's what we're gonna continue to do.
It is. It is. Well, I want to say from me as the CEO
Yeah.
of Kidney Trails, I would like to celebrate all the dialysis technicians. I really, truly appreciate each and every one of y'all.
Thank
What
you,
y'all
thank you.
do is outstanding.
Appreciate
You
it.
sometimes are the mediator. You're sometimes right in the middle, you know.
Yeah,
And without y'all, I would be in probably a different place now.
I hear
So
that,
my
man. I hear that.
heartfelt gratitude from, like I said, as a CEO, as a former dialysis individual,
Yes,
as a current transplant recipient,
that's
and
right.
even in any role that I hold, I want to
Right.
thank y'all for that. What's up, Jessica?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Jessica. Yeah, she said she was gonna log on, and she did
yes, she
it. She did it. Anthony. Before you close out, I would like to say some things. Before we close out, I know that you're gonna wrap it up. I would like to say that a message to technicians. I would like to leave two messages, and I want us to ponder. And this goes for everybody. I want you to go back to your interview. And then I want you to go back to the night before your interview to the position that you're at right now and think about what hopes, what dreams, what you aspire to be in the position that you're in. So I want you to go back and I want to leave with a quote from People First off of LinkedIn. There will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you.
it's true.
That is right. That is exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You don't look at yourself in the mirror. I tell people, I wish people look at themselves in the mirror a little bit more often
Right.
to see how they can improve, but also see your worth. Go
Yes.
to the mirror and look for your worth as well. And if you look at yourself and you look at your worth and the price is down, you better look a little harder and see how you can get that price up.
That's inflation, man. you said mirror. Anthony, I remember asking a question to someone and said, "How long can you look at yourself in the mirror?" And and she paused. She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Can you look at yourself in the mirror for over an hour and just stare? Do you know how many emotions you're going to go through? You're not going to be smiling the whole time. Think about it, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. Think about it, So that's like self reflection. That goes deeper than self reflection.
If I stared in the mirror of myself right now, I wouldn't make it past 5 minutes because I'd be conked out.
Oh, yeah, I bet, most definitely, I
Yeah,
bet.
it's wonderful, guys. I mean, I think what the technicians do, not only
Yeah,
for the individuals that are on dialysis, but for the industry as a whole. I
yeah,
would like to thank you from the industry, being that we're in the renal industry, so to speak, as a
that's
self
right.
development help. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all.
That's
Y'all are
right.
so worth it, and
Exactly.
as you go through, be proud of what you do.
Right.
You may not be having the greatest day, and I don't know where any of y'all are at. And if you're watching this on replay, hashtag replay it. Um, Know that
Right.
you're worth it. Know that you were put here on earth to do one thing and to fulfill
That's
your
right.
purpose. And maybe the purpose is in your job. You may
Yeah.
be running around in life and say, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Just
Right.
do it. What's up, Jonathan? How are you,
Uh,
my friend?
Jonathan Freight Train Trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Anthony, I forgot to do it earlier, but when I mentioned about Torrey Harris, how he was a renal patient, ladies and gentlemen, our illustrator for the Kidney Trail for my graphic novel, Mr. Torrey Harris, Ignite Designs. You can look him up on Instagram. He received a transplant during the week of his birthday this past September. So he has received the second chance, his gift, to move on, beyond dialysis. And I think that's great. And I think that's nothing but he has nowhere to go but up. So I want to give a shout out to Torrey Harris for that. Thank you, brother. We love it. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Definitely. Tori did a wonderful job on the book. But ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate it. Like I said to all the technicians, my hat's off to you. If my headphones, or maybe I'll do it this way. And look, if you are someone that is on dialysis, okay, I'm gonna hit y'all with this. If y'all are someone that's on dialysis, look, let me tell you something. Thank your dialysis tech.
That's right.
Thank them for the work that they do.
Yes.
Thank them for
Yes.
2020. They were in the
That's right.
fight just as much as everybody else was.
That's
We
right.
all were. Thank them.
That's right. That's
Give it.
right. And
Give
I,
it. Give
and
it.
me, I will continue to advocate for all technicians, until I can't no more, you know, through all my platforms, if I'm allowed and if I'm granted.
So, I mean, that's what I'd say, ladies and gentlemen. Just please, just take time to thank a dialysis technician this
That's right.
week. You say, well, I know the only one I know is back at my old clinic. Well, call up that old clinic and ask to speak to a dialysis technician. Just say thanks.
That's
Call
right.
in.
That's right.
Message them on LinkedIn.
That's right.
You know what? That might
That's
not be a
right.
bad. I might do that to some different people once I get off of here. Maybe tomorrow, once I'm in half right mind to be able. Not that I'm in wrong mind. My mind's awake. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate y'all sticking with us. We've been here an hour and
Yes.
12 minutes. We're gonna run our outro,
There
and
you
D
go.
can stick in the back room, and we'll talk here in a little bit. But y'all,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a wonderful afternoon, night, morning, wherever you're tuning in from. We
Right.
appreciate it so much. And we'll get this last comment.
Oh.
I would definitely thank your wife if I was you, Jonathan. That'd probably be the best.
Yes, that's the boss. Oh my good. Good night, everybody from Phoenix, Arizona, where we are always Phoenix rising.
Well, y'all have a good night, and we are heading out of here. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.